Hey now, everybody. Welcome to DDO Players News, where we take a look at the latest from the worlds of Dungeons & Dragons Online, the tabletop, and beyond. I am your host, Drac, for the evening, and I am joined by the man with all the secrets who is going to spill every one of them. I just know he will. That is Community Manager Cordovan.
They call it 64 bits because that's how many bytes it takes to get to the center of it.
That's okay.
Yeah.
There we go. Where's that? What was that owl's name? I can't remember the owl's name in the Tootsie Roll Cobra. I'm pretty sure he had a name, but yeah. So there you go. A podcast over. That's all the secrets right there. Now, how are you doing, Cordovan?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Not bad. It's been a while since you've been on, so I'm happy to have you back on.
Yeah, we've been busy, too. We launched Magic and Myth Draenor, our most recent expansion. We've been doing a bunch of stuff on the other game side as well. We just launched some things that we'll probably be talking about on the show here today. So.
Indeed, yes. So let's just jump right in because we do have quite a bit of DDO news that you can expand a little more on than what I did last week. I was taking some educated guesses, but now I know a little more because I was actually on the 64-bit server, but you're here to answer some questions too. So we did have an update. That was 69.3. That was released yesterday as we're recording this on Thursday. The big thing in this patch, of course, Night Revels is back. Yay, Night Revels. This is my favorite event, so I'm so happy this is back.
The main thing is it has a new dungeon this year called Shop Till You Drop. I want to talk about the plot, but we shouldn't talk about the plot.
Right.
It's kind of a good joke, and you don't want to spoil the joke on the podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
But I guess I would say that if you want to hear a really great joke, you should definitely play that new
Yeah,
piece.
it's fun. I did it when the server test was going on since the event was active over there, and I was just like, okay, this is awesome. I like this. It
was one of those things that as soon as one of the developers said, you know what we should do for the next Night Revels dungeon? It should be a quest where X does Y or whatever. We're like, yes. Yes.
Yes, do that. So how long was this in the works for a while then? I mean, was like the idea floating around for a while?
Work actually got slightly underway on it for last year's Night Revels, but then due to what was it we were doing then? Whatever we were doing then, we just got busy, and it was one of the things that kind of had to go by the wayside, since at that point it was nice to have rather than we're going to do it. And so since it was such a good idea, we turned 2023's nice to have into a deliverable for 2024. And as they say, and now it's here for Night Revels. So.
Nice. And then there is some new rewards as well. You get the Violet Harvest Hunter's Hat, Violet Defender of the Harvest Cosmetic Armor, Violet Cloak of the Eternal Feathers, the Ghostly Glamored Weapon Aura, and a new orb cosmetic called Jack Orb, and a mount certificate Reaper Steed, which is green. And to point out, the orb, it does something kind of special. Do we want to talk about? Yeah, because that's pretty much been announced, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so what happens is while Night Revels is active, this orb, which looks like you've got a jack-o'-lantern, a pumpkin, a carved pumpkin in your hand.
Right.
Gets all fiery and glows for Night Revels. And then when Night Revels is off, it's just a regular jack-o'-lantern, not lit. So you know when Night Revels is on because it starts firing in that. But it also gives you the option of whether you want essentially the kind of fiery version or not fiery version for a little while anyway. You can only have it when Night Revels is on to be fiery, but yeah, still, it's cool.
And then Night Revels, of course, on now through November 3rd. So plenty of time to get those ingredients.
I'd point out that we don't do a lot of weapon auras as reward items for festivals. I mean,
right.
I think it's probably... I don't have encyclopedic knowledge of every reward and every festival, but I don't think we got many, if any, elsewhere. So this might be a great opportunity to get a glamored weapon aura.
I was trying to, when I saw that, I was like, have they ever done that for it? I mean, maybe.
Yep.
At some
I also
point,
particularly think our mount is really cool looking this year.
It is. It is. I might have to get another mount. I have so many now.
Okay, green is cool, but it's also kind of got a gradient and things.
Yeah, it does. It looks really good. I'm telling you, the art department is knocking it out on some of these things. So kudos to the art team for all of that. Not just Night Revels have arrived. We have a new raid as well.
Yep. It's called Threats Old and New. It's not about going to, like, say, Taco Bell.
You're stopping the Red Wizards of Thay from enslaving a Dracolich.
They also aren't a Taco Bell.
And well, I would not think so. Seems like they would go somewhere a little upscale, you know?
To not just be flippant about it. Yes, so we've added the raid to our Magic of Mythdraenor expansion as of this Wednesday. There's no pre-requirement to run it. You can just go in and run it. You do have to own the Magic of Mythdraenor expansion, but as long as you do, you can just go into the outskirts of Mythdraenor, speak to a NPC named Fathroy, and then enter it. It's a CR 35 legendary raid, so you better be at cap or pretty gosh darn close to it. But, and that's up to you.
I saw on the forums today, there is a guild that actually beat us on R10.
That's right. Yeah.
I'm like,
I saw that as well.
People, you are insane. But congratulations.
I have to assume some of them got practice on the Mania because
I would
go
think
through a couple of cycles of preview on the Mania. But even so,
even still, that's a hell of a. I mean, congratulations, guys, for doing that. But so it's in the raid once again. Threats old and new CR35. It is now possible to enter the boss room in the Magic of Mythdraenor quest called the Safe Hold after the door closes. I mean, that's kind of good.
One door closes, the door opens.
See, I like that. Conquest bonuses are now being calculated more accurately, so it's no longer treating unkillable NPCs as part of the total. That's a weird little bug that got in.
Yeah, that may be related to some nefarious behavior going on.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. The drop rate of thank you for this, by the way. The drop rate of the Fallen Age and by extension Golden Age weapons have been increased across all chests in the Magic of Mythdraenor content. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
To be clear, the Golden Age weapons are intended to be a very rare drop rate. So even though we have actually increased it pretty substantially here, it's not going to drop like candy. I'm sorry.
Well, no, and that's fine, which it should be, but just even the Fallen Age, I have only ever seen one.
For people who maybe have been seeing a lot of the forum threads or Reddits or something and don't know, it's a lot of the kind of negative sentiment that's being expressed about the rarity of the drop rate in Magic of Mythdraenor is specifically about these rarer items as opposed to, say, some of the normal augments or named items or things like that were in Magic of Mythdraenor. So, because those were set at standard levels, turns out these were set to be rare. Maybe we went too far, so we've upped it here for this week's patch. So.
Which, I mean, and they should be rare just because of what they are. I mean, they're the Fallen Age and the Golden Age, so that's, like an older, rare weapon that, just is not going to be in every chest you open or every 4 chest or whatever.
But we do want people to run it. Get their stuff and be happy. We're about trying to let people be happy. So we're doing it.
Yeah, and I'm sure you'll see if what you balanced it out to see, okay, all right, yeah, maybe. I mean, I'm sure you're open to adjusting that a little bit more if you don't think you win enough or
it was hard to know what to set the percentage at, but then we just figured, well, if we just take that percentage away from Drac, we can apply it to everyone
There you go.
else.
You're welcome, everyone. You are welcome. RNG, stupid RNG. Healing Lore, once again, has its correct tooltip. Outfits of the Crown Blade, War Blade, and Art Blade now display their base layers properly. And Eon, the Poison Rain, now deals 1d8 plus 3 damage, as it is considered a raid weapon.
That's the bow that came out during the Draconic Raiders reward box.
Which I picked, but I can't use because I don't have a character high enough yet. But one day. Then threats old and new. These are the known issues, and we're going to talk about another one. Yeah.
While you type, I'm going to go in and correct this.
Oh, okay.
This information is outdated because if you read that Night Revels thing, turns out it isn't just a text issue, is it?
Oh, that's right. Ooh, I didn't even see that. Yes, so we will do this, and I'll probably watch this update live. Threats old and new does not yet have a reward or award favor Let's try that again. Let me speak English this time. Threats Old and New does not yet award favor. This is going to be added in the next game update.
Yep.
Then the one that is in the patch notes, which is a little bit oopsie, is the 2024 Night Revels ingredients have the incorrect dating in their text description. This is only a text error. Spoiler alert.
Who
wrote that? Exactly.
No, it's not true. So at the time, that was the belief, is that because the items had been deprecated, they were expired, the 2023 ingredients.
Yes.
We thought that them displaying that they were just not expired, they were just had the regular default nomenclature, that it would be relatively okay because they couldn't use them. However, subsequently to the release, since Night Revels has been released, these items have been discovered to be able to go into the auction house. And in the auction house, then, it's going to list it as purportedly a modern, up-to-date ingredient, but in fact be an expired ingredient that you can't use. And because this text description is incorrect, when you then receive it in your inventory, you have no way to know that that bit that you just bought from the auction house is expired and thus not able to be used for your rewards.
You just bought expired ingredients.
On the plus side, they don't stack with the current versions. Like the 2024 ingredients will stay in their own stack. The 2023 expired ingredients will stay in their own stack, but the text description will be the same on those two. Which
Gotcha.
is not ideal. So we're working on a patch to get that done. I think we're most likely to go out with a fix to that next Wednesday. That remains to be seen, since work is currently underway to test and validate and all that sort of thing.
Right.
But assuming all that checks out, then that would be the likely plan.
Excellent. And then so the key is don't buy stuff in the auction house right now, because there are some people that are not playing nice and putting that stuff in the auction house. Come on, people, do better.
I should clarify as well that now that I'm actually looking, though, I think our post-patch may have been removed from next week's calendar, so we may actually be looking at mid-month on that.
Okay.
In part due to some of the other things that we'll be talking about later on.
Right. Okay. Perfect. So just keep that in mind. Just like I said, don't stay off the auction house for your ingredients right now. All right. And then the only other little bit known issue right now is and how did you pronounce that guy's name? Because I did not even want to try to do it.
Oh. I'm sorry, I don't have the page up.
Oh,
Fathroy.
Okay, there you go.
I made that up on the spot.
I don't know. It sounds good to me. Sure, we'll go with that.
See if the DM text has any comment about it or something.
Yeah. Anyway, they don't have a quest chalice over their head, but they're still great in the raid. So when you go talk to the raid guy, he's not going to have a chalice over his head, but he'll still give you the raid. That's should be fixed. I'm assuming in that other patch that's coming out next week.
When the nurse asks you the name of the baby and you sneeze, this is what happens.
Exactly.
That's right.
I mean, isn't that all D&D names? Really? I mean, so 64-bit server. We had a stress test this week. I know I took part in it. I know a lot of other people took part in it, because it was awesome for me to actually see there was multiple instances of places, and I'm like, this is amazing.
Yep. So we just, a week ago last Friday or whatever, announced the 64-bit server project is coming to DDO. This is a project that debuted starting August 1st to the live worlds over on the Lord of the Rings Online, and proved very successful there in many ways. And so we very much want to bring this to Dungeons & Dragons Online as quickly as we could. So we've really, using the knowledge that we had just done and the kind of resources and employees and everything that we had just done on the Lotra side, it was like, hey, instead of moving on to Project Y, let's do this one next. Let's do part 2 right away, And part 2 is bringing that to the DDO worlds. And so that is something that we just this week had our live first stress test preview that we'll be talking about in a little bit. We have plans to do, I think, something like at least one more before this goes live, and then assuming everything is working out, we'll be on track to release it as soon as possible. I don't know that I can't really give you at this time, unfortunately.
I mean, I
part of it
understand
depends on
that.
how these tests go. But this first stress test that we had this week is a key part to releasing on a date that we have in our own internal calendar. And that is, was it successful? Did it work? Did it fall over? Did we notice any kind of, you don't want to say game breaking, but locker style engineering bugs or systems bugs, or now that it's 64-bit, everyone's falling through bridges,
exactly,
it happens to be, right? And none of that happened. It was, we did have some things that we're following up on for our subsequent preview, but for the most part, things went much better than expected. Although I would say that we also thought that was a possibility because the one on the Lord of the Rings Online side also went better than expected during its preview as well. And so we've been able to, however, prove out on an engineering database level, an infrastructure IT database level, hey, we can do this, we can do that. It'll support this, it'll support that. Everything's cooking along.
Right.
Everything that we got set up is working and doing at least as good as we were hoping. So that's all good news.
And then, I was going to ask how just overall you thought it went, because, as a player, I thought it went well. I did notice I had a little bit of lag here and there, but one thing I noticed was if I did get some lag, it recovered a lot quicker.
Yep. We did put the server through its paces.
Oh, yeah.
We started, the way we did is this was Monday on Lamania. Everyone logged into the Lamania game launcher, but instead of logging into the Lamania server, they logged into Cormier, which is the name of this upcoming 64-bit VIP-only server with a special event attached. And so what happened then is we set a time of 7 to 10. Everyone got all their characters ready before then because we had the server open since 11 in the morning.
Yeah.
And then we got in with all of our developers and started capturing the logs and making sure we were having the data. So we started in the environment needs to look like this. Basically, Cordovan, don't spawn stuff in the marketplace.
Don't mess it up.
Don't deliberately crash the server.
Right, exactly.
And so, but then, as we were able to prove that, as the night went on, it was started to be like, well, okay, let's now deliberately try to push things. And just like on the Lotro side, we were like, let's see if we can actually break this thing. On the Lotro side, with the Ring Wraith fight, we were successful. And on the DDO side, we did have some instance crashes, but in general, the server infrastructure itself was pretty well managed. That's not to say there weren't issues, but there weren't, it wasn't cascading or anything like that, right? Everything basically did better than expected. But by the end of it, I was spawning 100. I was spawning 100 beholders in the marketplace, flying across, basically crop dusting the marketplace with beholders and stuff like that.
I wondered if that was you. So, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I wondered who was spawning all this stuff. I'm like, this has to be Cordovan. This gotta be. And I've never done the raid with that dinosaur, but that dinosaur sucks.
It does.
That guy sucks. Because I was in doing some of that for a while before I ran the Night Revels stuff, but I'm just like, okay, this guy, you can't kill him. It's like, what is going on?
It's a really tough undead type dinosaur from the Isle of Dread raid.
Yeah, and there was I don't know how many people beating on that thing, but no, it was a good time. And I think overall in the feedback thread, there's some mixed feedback in there, but I think overall everybody had a good experience, I would say. There's some people that didn't, but
for the most part, people did. And the thing is, we did also know some of the issues that people ran into because the way we had it set up was we could actually be like, all right, so-and-so is in the game right now saying I'm lagging out, and they gave us a loc, and we can track that using our thing to see, well, what's going on in that environment, and we can do polish and take notes. And that's essentially what we did this week, is we followed up on all those notes, and we're going through all those charts and graphs and reports, doing additional changes and implementing some work. Like, for example, the stress test uncovered a game performance bug with the Alchemist that Steel Star was able to identify.
Really?
When you clear out some of the other game performance impacting issues, right, you can see what's left. And we were able to see something that was left and be like, oh, I know what that is. And we were able to actually get a fix in then for this week. So that'll be in the next 64-bit preview it'll be the same way. You'll use the Lamania game launcher and you'll log into Cormier.
And then it seems like my ping times were normal, which I expected. I mean, I didn't expect it. I maybe expected it to be a little higher because it's going a little further because it's going to Las Vegas now. But my pings times seemed to be fine with that. My frame rate was solid. So, like I said, I had a good experience with it, and I said I think most people had a good experience with it as well.
Yeah. That's something that we're looking into. Maybe this is too much detail for the show a bit, but, on the East Coast, we've been lucky because all of our servers have been on the East Coast.
Right. Yeah.
And as part of this project, we're setting the server up in somewhere kind of Las Vegas-ish or something like that.
Yeah.
And so there's a natural increase to ping that the East Coast folks are experiencing hitting that server. It's up by about 20 or so.
Yeah, I guess I think mine was about 25 higher, maybe 20, 25, somewhere around in there.
Yep, and we've heard from some Europeans as well that additional hop coming from, say, Central Europe area, regions like that, is not great either. Perhaps is a bit of a concern.
Right.
So we're looking into what we can do there for one thing.
I was going to ask about that.
More news to follow up on that, but for now, all I can really say is we're looking into it. And for all of us like me in the Boston area and people in Germany or whatever, there's a flip side, which is that people in Australia are reporting less ping. People on the West Coast are obviously having a better experience.
Right.
So it's kind of it's a mix of where you are and kind of what you're up to. So.
Right. Yeah. I was going to ask you if you, because I'm sure you've seen probably all the reports on the Europeans. Not so good. But,
yeah, well, it's an additional hop across the States,
and
right? So their internet has to go not just across the ocean, but then it still comes in through the same pipelines on the East Coast or whatever.
And I had talked about that on the show last week too. I said it's going to be a higher ping rate just because of how many you got to take those extra hops. I mean, there's no way to get around that. But yeah, hopefully, like you said, you'll announce something soon that you might have a hope for them. And then can you talk a little bit more about the event that will be eventually when the 64-bit server launches? There's going to be the Lantern event. I know there's still, I think, some kind of confusion on exactly what it is.
Well, that confusion is because we haven't told you.
Okay.
The confusion is we've been keeping it under wraps.
See, that was my slick way of trying to get you to talk. Thank you for seeing through that. Move on.
I am not in a position to spill all the details.
I know.
This, but what I can say is that it is called the Lantern in the Mists event. Mm-hmm. It's a Ravenloft themed event. So
Thank you, by the way.
Place using the setting of Ravenloft and its kind of lore and story and hookup, the way that all works. And this is going to take place only on Cormier. We should back up real quickly to say, in general, Cormier is going to be a brand new server without character transfers to it.
Right.
So all the people playing on Cormier will be starting fresh and building up their characters. And it is a VIP-only server, so you do have to be a subscriber in order to access Cormier. We do have future plans to release future 64-bit servers, and those servers might well be open to anybody, like free-to-play, premium, and the rest. But for this first server, it is in fact going to be VIP only with character transfers disabled to it. And part of that is because it's going to have this Lantern in the Mists event. At some point, the server will probably continue on, the event will end. But while the event is active, there's really two pieces to it. A piece that is a little more in line with like a hardcore style experience, in that there's a risk versus reward component to it. And then there's hey, I don't actually want to have any risk. Just let me do the thing and have fun and get the stuff anyway. And get a different set of stuff as it turns out. But the way it's going to work is you can opt into a more hardcore version of it. Now, hardcore is a loaded word in Dungeons & Dragons Online because people are used to associating it with permadeath and a hardcore experience. You die, you're done. This is going to be a little different. And the way it's going to work, I can tell you this, and if I'm breaking news, I guess, well...
You heard it here first, apparently.
Now, can they?
Exactly.
You're really going to have an option of an item that you'll opt into. That item will take up one of your item slots, and while it's equipped, certain things will be possible. You will do those things and get currency that will be used to barter for the rewards.
Okay.
The trick is that the hardcore part of the lanterns, if you die, or if you ever unequip the thing, but if you die, you got to start fresh. You're done. You got to get a new one and start over.
Okay.
The non-hardcore version, you don't have to do that. The non-hardcore version is just only progressive, right? So you just sort of do as much or as little as you want to and get as many rewards as you want to. And
so it is an either or. That's where I was confused too. I didn't know it was an either or thing. Okay, so you can do the progressive or you can do the quote unquote one and done rogue style roguelite. Okay.
The rewards support it. And the reason the rewards support it is because for those who opt into that more hardcore challenge, you're going to get an extra tier of stuff.
Okay.
You're going to get some stuff that people who don't do that are not going to.
All right. Perfect. Okay. That is making a little more sense. And then can you, probably not, I'm going to ask this anyway, and I know you're going to tell me nope, next question, but the monsters this is going to spawn, are they going to be kind of like what the hounds were like in that type of way, or is it a different, or can't you say?
I can't say because it's really the big secret.
Okay.
And it's not like that, but it's not entirely not that. It's different enough that I wouldn't put the two together.
Okay.
But in terms of a thing you fight, sure.
Okay, that's fair. Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair. And then once again, this is only going to be on Cormier once it launches. And then are you going to wait till this goes live? Or are you going to maybe preview this on one of the previews before the server goes live? Or is this like a big surprise for all of us? Like once the server goes live, we can start a new character and then boom, we're going to see this Lantern event for the first time.
It's a good question. I think the plan is to get it onto Lamania.
Okay.
There's a part of us that really want to hold it back because we don't want to spoil it.
I mean, that would be kind of cool.
Of us that are like, well, if we don't do that, and then it goes live on the launch of Cormier, and there's an issue,
right,
that we could have caught if we had just done a preview. So I think we're probably going to do a preview, but we'll see.
I can see both sides of that though, because I mean, it kind of would be amazing to get like a fresh surprise. But I mean, you can also, you don't have to go look at it either if you want to be surprised about it. Too, if you do end up previewing it. So, okay, anything else you want to say about this 64-bit? Like I said, I had a good time and I had an overall positive experience. I'm excited to try it again. Like I said, you're looking at probably one more stress test at least, so I'm excited to check that out again.
We have found on the Lord of the Rings Online side that it brought a bunch of players back who are experiencing a version of the game that they had hoped to experience for a very long time and are very happy with the results so far. Not to say it's perfect,
right?
But they are very happy with the results so far, and we are really hopeful that people on the DDO side have that same experience where we get together, relive these early days of starting fresh and everything like that, while having a fun and occasion and opt-in challenging event and kind of rebuild these communities. We've seen over on the Lord of the Rings Online side, I think, some real community building happening on Angmar and Mordor, and we're really hopeful that kind of thing happens on Cormier. We know that there's also tons of free and premium players who are, in the case of especially premium players, have long supported us and also want a really cool experience. So we're not forgetting about you. But we also know that one of the main reasons we're having this be a fresh start server is that there's some character footprint, some longevity footprint kind of issues that we need to resolve with engineering work that's going to be taking place in the coming months. It's already been taking place, but it's going to continue until it's actually ready to get out there. And that is what's called serialization. Yep. So let's say you got an old fighter, like my old Armagh, who's been sitting there on various servers since 2006 and has run how many thousands of quests, done how many past lives, got all this stuff, and that character footprint does naturally grow. You figure something that needs to access a feat directory. How many feats have we added since 2006?
Oh, yeah.
Skills directory. If something needs to query a skills directory to see if it applies to a saving throw or something, how big has that table got? And so we start getting into areas there that your long-term characters are going to see that, say, a fresh start character will not. And so that was one of the reasons why we wanted to start Cormier with a fresh start. Another reason is simply, I don't want to sound like we're tooting our own horn too much here, but expected numbers to some extent as well. You have to build a server with a certain expectation.
Well, and that just, like, from a business aspect, that makes sense.
We felt strongly that it could be an error if our first DDO server were simply open to every free account possible over the years, because we would simply see so much traffic on only one server that it would perhaps not be the experience that we want. And so by putting these VIP requirements and fresh start requirements on it, we both make it hopefully be successful, but also keep the numbers down just enough to make it successful. And then as we start rolling out these other worlds, people will have more options, and the populations will I think, hopefully arrive at a place where everyone's happy. So we got to start somewhere, and that's where we're starting here. So.
Right. Yeah, and I was going to ask you, I know like the two games are enough different to where you can't really look at what's going on over on Lotro and try to apply that over on DDO, but you're kind of doing that a little bit. You had said with this 64-bit, since they already have, their two 64-bit servers, you're kind of looking about what's going on over there and maybe applying that here and tweaking it a little bit, because the games, like I said, the code of the games are way different. But
they're very different in many ways. But when it comes to 60, so we're not talking about a 64-bit game client. And I get maybe too technical, but like this is the actual hardware, infrastructure that people are playing on. When you log into Argonesson, you're actually logging into a thing, and it's a box somewhere, or at least something that kind of resembles a box somewhere. And that can be 32 or 64-bit. And so by going to a fully 64-bit infrastructure combined with our previously released 64-bit client, we're going to have the best possible experience. At least that's the goal. So. And
then anything else you want to say about Cormier? And
no, I think we've covered everything.
All right. Excellent. That wraps up game news then, other than we do have store sales. We usually don't talk about these because by the time we record, they're already ended or almost ended. But hey, they started today, so we can talk about them. It's the Ride to Glory sale, 30% off select mounts. Also, Mirrors of Glamoring and Glamored Weapon auras at 30% off. Keep on the Borderlands bonus items and the White Plume Mountain bonus items also at 30% off. That runs through October the 10th. And your weekly coupon code is a free lasting potion of resist fire plus 10. You're going to get 5 of those when you use a coupon code Extinguisher, just like it sounds, EXTINGUISHER, Extinguisher. Also through October the 10th. And then the bonus over the weekend, I think, is Remnant drops. Is that what I saw today?
Double Mysterious Remnants. So twice the chance for Remnants to appear when you defeat a champion.
Yay! Let's jump in to see what's happening elsewhere. We'll just nothing really from the dungeon this week. We do have something from the tabletop. And unfortunately, it's bad news, because you remember last podcast we talked about that strike that might hit the U.S. ports in Texas up through Maine, that whole little swath of the country there where most of your ships come into. Yeah, they did strike. So
a certain publisher releasing a player's handbook sure got lucky, didn't they?
yes, they did.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they're thinking, oh, thank God. Well, yeah, so this is going to affect, as we said last week, it's not just the game industry, but there's already Kickstarters this is affecting. I've had 2 of my Kickstarters that emailed me and said, yeah, we're stuck. One of the boats is setting at the dock, so that's at least something. The other project is just floating around, can't get into a dock. They're trying to find a different place to ship it to, and all the docks are getting backed up because of this, so
Yeah. I wasn't trying just to be clear, to imply any kind of political statement there.
Exactly. But and that's how I'm going to make that clear too, that we're not taking sides in this. We, like I said, we usually don't even talk about new stuff, but this does affect us in the gaming community. Just not even for Kickstarters, just anybody like Hasbro, WotC, and their book. If that would have been a couple weeks later, they might not have been able to get that book in the country because, all these ships have to come through a dock, and like 85% of the gaming industry uses these docks that are fortunately on strike. So we'll see. Right now, the two sides are very, very far apart, they say. The big sticking point is the use of automation. The dock workers do not want any automation at all on the docks. And the shipping companies are trying to push for some automation. And they also want like a wage increase too. But the big thing is that automation. That's where I read several different news articles where that's where the two parties are way far apart on right now. So we'll see what happens. So just keep that in mind. And like I said, this is going to affect lots of things. But I do want to state for the record right now, don't panic buy toilet paper. Toilet paper is fine, people, regardless of what you're going to see on TikTok, because I've seen many a TikTok that are saying, oh my God, we're not going to have toilet paper. No, most of the United States toilet paper either comes from here, the United States, Mexico, or Canada. So we're fine. Toilet paper's fine. You don't have to go buy every roll of toilet paper in the store that happened back in the COVID days. It's almost 2.0. I was in the store today and I looked, and the share
is that true? No, don't tell me this. I haven't been to the store since this news.
No, it's true.
Are you serious?
I am. Yes. I don't know about your area, but there's some parts of the country where you can't find toilet paper at all. Again,
are you kidding me?
No, I'm not.
Gosh.
Yeah, this is not affecting. I mean, it's affecting a lot of things. Don't get me wrong, but your toilet paper is safe, people. Your toilet paper is safe. So everybody, deep breath.
Safe in someone else's.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So I guess the moral of the story, if you go to the store to get toilet paper, good luck, because you may find yourself in a little bit of a pickle in that spot. So
I am Cornholio. I need TV for my bunghole.
There you go. Like I said, we'll talk about it more on the next podcast. Hopefully, this will get resolved soon because, like I said, it's not just the game industry. This is the auto industry, electronics industry, board games in general, toys. So if this goes on too long, Christmas might be interesting too for a lot of toys and stuff. So let's hope there's an end to this soon. Well, with that bummer news out of the way.
Well, let me just say though, since this is called On the Tabletop, and the 2024 edition of the D&D Player's Handbook came out, and I have both the digital and the physical book. I just ordered it from D&D Beyond on a Tuesday, and it was there on Saturday.
Wow, really?
It was awesome. It was fantastic.
That's pretty fast shipping, actually. Okay.
I thought so, too. And that was the Saturday, theoretically, before the Tuesday release. So that was just straight up from dndbeyond.com. I ordered late. I would just figure at the last second, I was like, you actually do need this, so do it.
Like, do I need this? Sure, I need this.
Yeah, and so there we are. But I've been having it in my hands for a couple of weeks now, and I'm really enjoying the 2024 edition of the manual. I love the layout. I love the art. I love the graphics. I haven't play tested really any of the rules yet, but it seems fine to me, and it seems pretty cool too in many ways. So I myself, as an old school fighter guy, am really kind of looking forward to that 2024 fighter. There's some really neat stuff.
Yeah, there's some interesting changes they made to a lot of the classes, which I'm working on a review, so mine should come out soon. I think I've about have my review ready. I need to tweak it a little bit. I've been working on it for a while. Because, spoiler alert, I had the book before Gen Con.
Yay!
Yeah, WotC said it to me before Gen Con, and I just messed around. I didn't get a review up, and still haven't got a review up. So I promise it's coming, so stay tuned for that.
And you can also say, okay, maybe I shouldn't say this. In my opinion, one of the biggest crimes of the 2013? The original.
Yeah.
The original 5th edition book.
2014.
Was its gosh darn appendix.
Yep.
I hated the appendix of that book, and the appendix of the 2024 edition is glorious. So.
Spoiler alert for my review, the big thing I like about this 2024 book is the layout and the appendixes. So that they did. I mean, there's some stuff I don't like, but that I will give them thumbs up on. I will say they did a good job with that.
Blindness spell, see blinded. Blinded, see conditions. Conditions, see status.
It's
status, see
so much. Yeah, like what? Like, I need a PhD to figure out how to read your book. Come on now. Yeah, exactly. It's, yeah. So, review coming soon. So, weekend gaming. I will go, because I didn't do a lot. Did play some besides the stress test. I did that with Beaker. I did on Caneth over with Pineleaf. We were running the Magic of Myth. We started the expansion. Well, Pineleaf has actually played through it already. This was my first time playing through it. We did part 1 and the first quest of part 2. I really, really like it. There was only one quest in part 1 that I did not like at all. Oh, and I don't remember the name of it. It's the one where you go into like the bard school, and it's got all of the
song, I think.
Yeah, that's it. I just did not like that quest at all. That was the only quest, and that's because I'm not a big puzzle guy. So I was just like, oh god, this whole quest is puzzles, isn't it?
No, it's not actually that bad. That's the one where you're doing the different notes, right?
Yeah.
It's the musical one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So really, it's got a mechanic a bit like Amber Temple, where you're finding pieces to unlock doors, but it's pretty generous. So you can honestly just ignore all that stuff and just start peeling around and just get all the stuff you need.
I didn't even think about that being like Amber Temple.
Yeah.
That I didn't until you just said that. So yeah. So.
There's a shorter way if you actually, like you say, kind of follow the story and do that, but you kind of don't have to.
Oh, okay. Well, next time I run that,
I'm thinking of the same quest.
Oh no, you are.
Thinking of the same quest.
No, I'm.
Yeah.
You are. So I will look at that with new eyes the next time I run that then. And then we did do the Cruising with Drac with Beaker and I over on his Twitch stream. We finished up the main quest line of Saltmarsh. And I think tomorrow night we're going to stream, and I think we're going to do Night Revels. So we'll be running all of the Night Revels quests. So I'll put a link over in the show notes to Beaker's Twitch channel. You can watch us play DDO if you would like tomorrow evening. That is really all I did this week. So how about you, Cordovan? What were you up to?
Well, let's see. I worked most of last weekend trying to make sure Cormier could be up by Monday evening, and then that happened. So I was on Cormier on Monday, and
a very giant version of you, might I point out.
Yes.
I was really surprised when I seen you. I was like, wow, okay.
I've been struggling to find personal game time the last couple of weeks. I am just about getting ready to celebrate my son's birthday, taking him on a camping trip and other things.
Oh, awesome.
All while we're launching the expansion on the Lotro side and 64-bit servers and everything else, right? Including, not all that long ago, Magic of Myth Draenor. So I've been kind of having a hard time finding personal time. But what I've been doing mostly is just running the saga of Magic of Myth Draenor on all the various worlds. I've got kind of a main character that I like to use for the live stream on each world. Mm-hmm. And I want to make sure that they've at least got some cards and saga completions. Sorry, sneeze. Oh, it didn't work. Fathui. There we go. So I've been running some of the quests, just running the sagas over and over, getting the named loot, things like that. But in practice, not much in the past week, because in the past week I was mostly on Cormier.
Oh yeah, you were a little busy.
Actual work. So
darn work getting in the way of that fun game time. I mean, but come on, how cool is it to actually work on a video game though? I mean, that's got to be pretty freaking cool, right?
It's the best thing I could possibly be doing. I'm so honored.
Yeah, I bet that's just awesome. All right, with that out of the way, we do have 11 supporters over on our Patreon. If you would like to help support this crazy little podcast that we do, we would love that. You can go to our donations page. You can help support the Players Alliance. That is a podcast network we are a part of over on Patreon. All of that money is used for the show. It's either podcast hosting, website hosting, or to pay for the live show, which this show is normally live. Just tonight, just due to some scheduling stuff, it was not live. If you would like to donate without using Patreon, you may do so, and several people have done that, and we appreciate that. Shoot me email at Drac at DDO Players, and we'll talk about some different ways to do that. But once again, I do want to point out, I know a couple people had asked me about this. Yes, 100% of that money is used for both websites and both DDO Players News Podcast and Lotro Players News Podcast. That is all the money is used for. So, couple of people have asked me about that. Just wanted to point that out. We don't have any new reviews this week, but if you'd like to give us a review, please do so. We'd love your support. And that also helps us out a lot because it pushes us out on the various podcasting apps. So if you would like to leave a review, do that on the podcast app of your choice. Let us know about the review and we will read it on the show. And something else people have been asking about is, Are you going to be on Spotify? Hopefully. I'm working on that. For some strange reason, Spotify does not like our feed.
Huh.
It's saying our RSS feed is not correct. And every other podcast app in the world takes our feed, but Spotify will not take the feed. They say there's an error. And Spotify, if you're listening, which I know you're not, but on the off chance somebody that works at Spotify is listening, can somebody help me with this? Because I can get no technical support from Spotify on this problem. Because I don't understand what it is. I'm
glad I never had to deal with that when I was podcasting.
Yeah. It's horrible. And like I have an IT background, so I'm like, okay, I should be able to figure this out. And I'm like, it's right. Everything they're asking about the RSS feed is right. Or if anybody listening happens to know a lot about RSS feeds and specifically Spotify and podcasting, because a lot of people want us on Spotify and I would love us to be on Spotify. So I'm working on it. Spotify coming soon.
I actually lied there, though. Now that I'm thinking about it, we should break just a little bit of news here off topic at the end of the show. Are you okay with that?
I am perfectly fine with that.
That is, I said that back when I was podcasting, but I'm actually going to be doing it again. And I'm going to be doing it with you, I think, here in the near future.
That's right.
So it turns out both you and I are into vinyl records and music collecting and things like that.
We are.
And so this has nothing to do with Dungeons & Dragons Online, but we're going to get together here in the near future and record some audio and video and just kind of see what comes of it. So
we are coming soon. And yes, she did say video.
Yep.
So if you want to see the elusive Drac, I will be on video. Not happy about it, but here we are. So if you're going to have to tune into that, and we're still talking about how we're going to do it, but we have a pretty good idea. So look for that coming soon, like very soon.
Yeah, pre-recorded, not live.
Yeah, no. Yeah. Not live. So yeah, it's basically music and vinyl. So if you're into that, or if not, I'm sure it's going to be a good time because God knows what else we'll talk about. Because you know what happens when you're on here. I'm surprised we actually kind of stayed on rail tonight. I'm pretty impressed with us actually, because we usually veer to the left and right a lot. So. The eyes
I could start talking about going and being outside of that Post Malone concert outside of Fenway. That was pretty nuts. Turns out the whole world likes Post Malone. I've never seen such a massive audience in 2024. Fenway was crowded. All the streets were crowded. It was like you were in the middle of Gen Con, but it was at night.
Right.
And it was around Fenway, and it was just wall-to-wall people everywhere. It was nuts. I'd never seen anything like it.
And since we're going on topic, can we talk about the reason why you were near there anyway? I am still super jealous of you, good sir.
Not seeing Post Malone, by the way.
Right.
I was seeing the somewhat artier neighbor next door named PJ Harvey at the MGM Music Hall, and that was an amazing show.
Amazing. When I saw your post about that, I'm like, are you serious? You're seeing PJ Harvey right now?
Yeah, I saw the tickets in the spring, and even though I was kind of broke, I was like, first tour in 8 years.
Oh, yeah.
She may never tour again.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Killer new album.
She's pretty elusive.
Music Hall, that Fenway, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Done. We do have a featured comment this week. We haven't had a feature comment for a while, so DM Gons commented over on DDO Players on the post we put up when we were talking about the 50 years of D&D Time Magazine Special Edition. They stated, just in case you can't find it at your local newsstands, you can order it by Amazon. So, and I still have not seen it on any of my newsstands. So I even looked at Barnes & Noble, and I hardly ever go into Barnes & Noble. And I've gone into Barnes & Noble twice, and it's still not there. So I might just order it on Amazon.
I'm not sure I can tell you the last time I saw a newsstand.
Yeah, that's very true, too.
It's been a couple of years at least, I think.
Yeah. But if you can't find it anywhere local, Amazon's got you covered for the Time Magazine 50th anniversary. We do have no emails this week. If you want to send us an email, podcast@ddoplayers.com. We do have 2 live shows on the Players Alliance Network. That is on Saturday evenings at 8:30 p.m. Eastern is Lotro Players News. And then DDO Players News, this podcast records at various days and times, basically due to my schedule. DDOplayers.com/live. If we are actually broadcasting live, that's how you can hear it. Yeah, not much else.
I've got a Night Revels joke for you.
Okay, shoot.
What kind of pants does a psychic wear?
Ooh, God, I would have no idea.
Paranormal pants.
Paranormal pants. Okay, with that, I was going to ask you if there was anything else, but I think you are done, sir. We're just going to wrap that up with that. So there's not much else to say after that. Oh, my God, that was great. No, seriously. You want to plug any of SSG's websites, streams, blogger?
You want to find out anything about what we got going on, DDO.com. We have a Discord now as well, so you can find a link to that over in the DDO forums. The Discord's been popping off and going really well, having a really good time. So great opportunity to get together with other DDO players there.
Yeah, it's always busy. Like every time I pop in there to see what's going on, I'm like, holy crap, there's a lot of people on this.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So
we're 3,000 plus. 3,000 plus
awesome.
active members at the moment.
Okay, that's awesome.
And they're not all spam bots either.
Yeah. Though I was kind of sad when it went over the 2,600 that it was at, because I'm like, that is awesome if it just stays at 2,600.
On the plus side, I got to report that within almost exactly 1 week after launch, we hit 2,600.
That's awesome. Yeah. If you don't know, Cordovan's a big Atari fan, so
I am.
That's
fate.
It was
destiny.
fate. There you go. All right.
The spam bots that joined were doing me a service.
Thank you, spam bots. Thank you. All right, we are going to wrap it up. So after that joke, I don't know how to end it. I'm just going to say what I always say. I sure hope the RNG is a lot kinder to you than it always is to me.